So our breakout session is more of a working design thinking session that's focused on charting the path to becoming a high-performance organization. And in some of the research that Microsoft has published, we've looked at the intersecting themes of employee engagement, productivity, business resilience, and how those three things come together to really fuel business performance. And so during our session, we want to encourage people to think about what are some of those near-term, short-term, longer-term actions that you could take to impact, maybe even disrupt or challenge how you're currently approaching employee engagement, thinking about productivity in your organization, and thinking about business resilience. So I'm curious, Michelle, if you had to think about disrupting one of those areas, what's something that you might do?
Well, this has been a topic for me that I've been passionate about for a while, and I wish we could get rid of like the structure, the hierarchy. I mean, I know HR teams love it, but it's been around since the Roman Empire, and it seems, waiting to be disrupted. I think employees are much more productive, and that resilience and that energy is inspired when it's one-to-one versus the top-down model. Command and control, I mean, who wants to always be told what to do? I think you get more curiosity, you get more collaboration when you level the playing field and individuals have roles, but that hierarchical structure, I think if you can remove that, I think it unlocks a lot of possibilities.
Yeah.
I know we talked earlier in the keynote about microcultures. Do you have an example of where that might have happened at Manpower, where you were able to have more of that one-to-one working relationship with a team?
Well, it's interesting. I would start with my own team in HR. So I always say to folks, hey guys, treat me like I'm just a team member. I want you to tell me when I'm wrong. I want you to call me out. I want you to disagree, challenge me. Yes, I have to make decisions as the leader, but I want those decisions to be empowered by you from day one. And that's hard. People usually look at me and say, really? And especially junior individuals who are not reporting directly to me to say, really? Then you have one person who, goes out and be that courageous person. And when you see it modeled, individuals start doing it. So I think you have to allow for that grace and that space to do it. I think leaders have to demonstrate that vulnerability, that they don't know everything. But then I think leaders have to empower their teams, one, to have the courage, but two, to consistently do it. And when they do it, and even when you disagree, how you disagree with them becomes important. I will not tell you I'm perfect at it, but absolutely I try it, and it's different. I mean, I work across 75 countries, and my French team responds to it differently than my team in the UK versus my team in Italy versus my team in the US. So cultures make it very difficult. And that hierarchy, I believe, is the first place that if we can break that down, then the culture, you can work across that.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And I think what we see across a lot of our customers as well is the impact of communication. And so with that vulnerability from leadership, being able to set the tone, create the space, and listen, whether through ideally physical channels, but also those virtual and digital channels as well. So I'm curious, what are some of the themes that you're seeing maybe in organizations that you're working with, Tyrelle, where they're looking at ways to engage in dialogue?
Yeah, I'm seeing this concept similar to what Michelle was talking about around organic teaming, and so doing things more in an agile approach of a project team comes together. Maybe they found each other through these networks or channels of communicating, and then they're able to come together and they have an, you know, a goal, a common goal, and then working, you know, coming up with roles for each member of the team. And then the project's over and they disperse and they take those learnings to other parts of the organization, and it's like an organic growth of that concept.
Mm-hmm. I think about our journey at ManpowerGroup, and I think first technology has helped us. So 75 countries working together, different languages, and technology adds that level playing field where you can meet people where they are, but then pulling organic teams that have never worked together with different skills. And we are doing that within our HR team of how do we pull someone together based off of their passion, based off of their skills, and based off of their aspirations. And you pull those teams together and working them, and you come out with really good products that people believe in day one. So it's interesting. I'm now leading one of those teams. I'm not really leading the team. I'm sponsoring the team, and we have someone leading the team, and it's particularly the project, we're renaming it, but it's joiner, mover, leaver, and it's getting to a global process for joining, moving, and leaving the organization. And it's a team that's pretty eclectic, and they never met each other in person at all. And we have team members in 5 different countries. So we'll see. We just kicked it off. We'll see where this one leads, particularly with me being a member of that team.
That's fantastic. And I think something you said struck with me in terms of that action. What's something that I can do next week? What's something that I can do in the next month or the next 6 months to start impacting some of that change? Even just doing that assessment or creating space for people to be able to share within a team environment, what are my aspirations? What are my passions? What are my skills? What are my strengths? And identifying those things as an opportunity to learn more about what we have at the table beyond what's in a job specification.
Absolutely.
And that's where you get that engagement from, which lends itself to the higher performance.
You know, when I think about resilience, engagement, and productivity, I always start with engagement. And if your teams are not engaged, then your ability to get to that productivity is going to be almost impossible. And how do you continue to re-engage in order to have that resilience? And I think that isn't just the role of leaders. I think that's the role of every team member. And so engagement, what's the environment that allows individuals to speak their voice, speak their views, and then when you create that environment, I think that spurs the resiliency, and you have those two together, teams will move forward, push forward towards that productivity.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point, that everyone can have a role in that process. It doesn't matter if you're the CEO, it doesn't matter if you're an individual contributor or a people manager or team leader. There is an opportunity for everybody to participate in that process and to impact action.